Hey everybody, Deb from Deb's Corner Canada. Today we're going to talk about narcissistic neighbors and those that you live with. Ever notice really that the narcissist is always on the go? They're steady on the go. And when they are actually home, this kind of behavior will often really shift, right? It'll shift from really them performing those outside functions or even inside functions of the home when they're, especially if it's a neighbor type of thing, to an audience, right? And so really to dominate the household and all surrounding people around that household. It can really feel like they drain the very, very essence and that energy from the space around you, right? So they're going to do it again as if they're a neighbor, right? And what they're going to do here is they are going to monopolize the air around them with loud, shallow conversations coming and going, right? Taking up every second of your time and attention when they feel like it or when they have a moment. And really you're going to start, it's like also when you're living with one, where you're kind of bracing, right? For that ever-changing chaos that you know, right? That other shoe is going to drop, right? And really, if you look back, right? Maybe an hour and a half before, a narcissist would come home before you, find yourself kind of clinging to those small pockets of you time, right? Just something for you because you need to feed yourself, right? So, and you'll be doing this when they're not around. So you'll be kind of rushing to just do something for you, whatever that may be. So you may end up maybe binging like your favorite shows over and over again, which is actually a trauma response. Or, keeping up with even basic housework that you can no longer function to do. You can't even function, like you're just so overwhelmed, right? Or really that ever-growing list of chores and errands that you kind of always have to keep ahead of, right? So it's not going to change much with a neighbor, right? Or others around you, really. And really, it's going to be the same thing where you're always bracing yourself. You're bracing yourself for any interactions with these people, right? It becomes really also a way to prepare for any expectations of that kind of, it's that constant one-sided attention that they want as usual, right? And so you're effectively really cast as their ongoing entertainment. You're there to entertain them. Whether you're in the house with them, you're a neighbor, you work for them, whatever. You're there to entertain them. You're their entertainment coordinator, I guess, right? And so really what's going to happen too is it's going to always be you at the mercy of these one-sided whims, right? And you'll notice they cannot sit quietly through a show, through a movie, especially if they've already seen something. It's not going to happen. You're going to see them getting up on their phone, causing chaos, whatever. And really, it's going to be out of the question for them to just sit still. From a lady with ADD, by the way. And really what's going to be happening here is you scrambling to find something new, something exciting to entertain them like a little kid, right? To keep them occupied. And really, honestly, towards the end, it's to keep them off your back, just to keep them away from you, to give you peace later on, right? Even to have a half an hour, right? And you kind of already know as you set these things up that you are not going to even like get through a full episode, a full movie. You're not going to have a full hour. It's not going to happen without something going on, right? And really, it's going to affect that ability for you to maintain even basic daily functioning, right? And gradually, this is going to erode more and more over time, right? And it's going to move you away from your own self-care, which is what they want to keep you weak. Like maybe like reading enjoyment, hobbies you used to have that are steadily going to decline and then eventually fall off, right? And really, it's all about you losing enjoyment, right? Even in basic things like food or that you used to love, or even like the freedom to come and go at will. I mean, while they're coming and going at will whenever they want, right? And doing whatever they want during the day while they're working. And eventually even like the space to talk about yourself, to even talk about yourself in your own home or around your own home, or your own interest will like hit the skids. It's going to gradually disappear entirely. And, as we all kind of eventually notice, all topics, including with the narcissistic neighbor, is going to result in all roads leading back to them. Becomes boring as well. And so it's going to always kind of lead back to them, no matter what it is. Them, or something shallow. And really, you'll have to listen, right? So you're kind of stuck there to the same usually embellished victimhood stories or shallow crapola coming out of the hole, right? And honestly, they're going to tell you the same crap. Honestly, like shallow crap repeatedly to exhaustion, or you're just not going to feel any connection with it. So let's really get back to the narcissist running the roads, right? They're going to run the roads like road runner on like a large espresso. That's how I can describe it. They will not be home. Or they are going to have like an ever-changing cast of guests, usually that they feel are below them, coming over constantly. And why is that? Well, a narcissist alone at home without access to resources and people that they can, control or puppet or have fun with, right? It's not going to happen. And so they need this external attention to go along with it, right? On apps, dating apps, hookup apps, steer clear of those, and other people. So they need access to them, right? So they will struggle often as well with severe boredom, like extreme dissatisfaction and boredom. And so you're going to notice this. And so really, honestly, to them, like their home is either deeply controlled by them, right, or just a touching point, and it just really functions not as a place of rest, okay, but more as a space used for performance, right? It's a performance when they're out in front of everyone else. And it's to either, it's to control the prey within that home and also the neighbors and others around. And so really it's also for grooming external supply, people they can get favors off of. You're going to notice they get a lot of favors off people, and brief interactions, external interactions. So you're going to see them doing this a lot, touching points with people they can use, right? And reasons for that there are just honestly, a couple of them would be like constant stimulation, of course, right? So many narcissists suffer from chronic boredom, like chronic, or a lack of that inner self, right? They can't just sit with themselves, right? They cannot just like self-generate those energy fields. They need other people's energy fields and attention all the time, constantly. They will often rely on just constant external supply. You're going to see them on the phones. You're going to see them having shallow conversations with people they can use around the neighborhood. You're going to see that. They have to have drama. They have to have people over. You have to hear them through your window, having these shallow conversations loudly, things like that. And that's so they can feel energized, heard, and regulated by and cringing on your space and cringing on you. Because they cannot just generate their own stable internal self-worth just to sit in their house, be quiet, mind their business. They just can't do it. And staying home to a narcissist or toxic person can actually feel very stagnant to them, very off-putting and stagnant. And it may actually lead to more like hot and cold behavior that we tend to notice in narcissists, right? And this is sometimes honestly like referred to as a splitting, right? So you're either going to be seen like we've learned, right, as all good, all bad, right? And really it depends what cycle you're in with them. But they're going to treat all these moments with you sometimes pleasantly. They're going to be really, really pleasant with you because they got to pull you back in. And then when you're out of favor or they're busy, very dismissively, they might not even say hi to you anymore. And so really what's going to happen is it's just like the narc in the house, right? That inconsistency is going to keep you off balance, okay? Which can actually reinforce their little power trips, their little senses of control, which you got to throw off. And so let's look really at the psychology that's behind this behavior, right? And so really the steadily revolving door you're going to see of strangers coming through into their house, or walking up to their car, or them leaving all the time, or whatever, even if they don't work, they're never going to be there. It's primarily really it's actually life or death to them. It's a need for that external validation and that energy. Narcissists often struggle with being alone. They will it's a death sentence to them, right? And it's due to really that fake persona, that fragile sense of the self that they have, right? And so frequent going out, constantly. You're going to constantly see them going out, even if it's for small periods that cannot stay in that house. Others can serve as a way that they can avoid that deep internal emptiness that they always are carrying. They're always carrying this with them, and really maintain that constant source, right? Constant sources, which they have many all at the same time. It's that attention and that engagement, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. You'll see people coming and flipping out. You'll see people constantly steadily switching, right? So the steady stream of guests or people they have, honestly too, are usually below them, what they consider below them, so that they can kind of lord things over them. So it's really where you're going to notice a narcissist, like especially a neighbor, either bringing others into that social circle or keeping other people within that home. And so what they're going to do is reinforce that false persona and that perspective by being either the king inside the castle, and then they're great to all the neighbors, right, until the neighbor does something. And so they want to create kind of like an energetic distance between them and any uncomfortable feelings, right? Functioning really like all these people they're bringing in are constantly going to see, constantly, these supporters, these intermediaries, right? They're distractions. They're like buffers, right? So they'll reduce that need for direct self-reflection and solitude. They don't that accountability, right? They're not going to sit there and do that. And really, it's them running from themselves. It's running from their core, running from things they should have probably dealt with long ago, okay? And so by keeping themselves busy, they're really forced to kind of confront their own insecurities, okay, which are really core deep, which they just can't handle. They can't handle just sitting by themselves, reading a book, not being on the phone. Like they're always on a phone, having someone over, chit-chatting with people. Also, another one is stillness and silence. They cannot deal with it. They are a narcissist nightmare. And so they will need this constant activity, either on a phone, people come over, them going out, constant activity. They will use their children's friends, whoever, as a distraction, right? From that profound alienation and that lack of meaning that they feel deep inside of themselves. So they have to fill it. They have to constantly fill it. And what I like to say here is they will fill it with what I like to call burner supplies. Might not be the best word, but and narcissists often actually will engage in what I call short-term mini supplies or burner situationships, burner supplies, okay? And they will only last like a few weeks, a few months. You're going to notice constant change. Like they cannot stay with somebody for 10, 20 years, not without any chaos, okay? And these new people will provide them an intense dopamine hit of admiration, right? That the narcissist is really honestly going to grow really bored with. Once that novelty of this new person wears off and maybe they're starting to want attention back or whatever, it's done. That's when the discard's going to happen. And boom, they're going to cycle to bringing another person around and another person around and another person. And really it's to again, serve the fake persona, right? They're often, because of that, very, very paranoid. They're paranoid of being exposed as fraudulent by people noticing the patterns and stuff, right? So that's why they got to keep switching. So keeping busy with different groups, different people, different jobs, different whatever, right? It allows them really to keep curating a perfect public image to basically strangers. Because, as they don't stay in one place or with one person or with one group or whatever for very long, because that might cause them to kind of actually notice the mask flip, notice the behaviors, right? And also it's for impulse seeking. So their fear of boredom, because they're special, they have to be entertained, it often really will lead to like this high risk behaviors, including extreme overspending, like going thousands upon thousands, extreme substance abuse, or even like serial infidelity every month, every two, different person, or where they're going to kind of claim to be busy with vague projects to maybe somebody still in the home or that's being discarded by them in the moment. As say, and if you're a neighbor of a narcissist, and heaven help you if you are, you may notice or witness or experience the following things. One of them is you will be busy, and it's called coincidental popping out, which is actually rooted in surveillance. They are watching you. They're watching to see when you come out. Surveillance and control. You're going to notice all of a sudden they're there and you're wondering how they knew. By appearing when you do, they're actually monitoring you. They're watching you to make themselves feel superior or to really kind of inject drama, victimhood, shallow conversations into your day to get attention, right? It is really a power move. It's a power move. They'll also kind of take over like common areas that you won't feel you can go out, things like that, right? And that's because they're entitled to your space, your business. They can interrupt you whenever they want. Leading me to the interruption drama dumping, right? So that victim mentality, right? So they might stop you in the middle of, I don't know, you mowing your lawn and tell you about a crazy ex or a crazy parent or whoever, or some kind of victimhood, right? As you're maybe struggling to like load groceries into the house, or you're struggling to change a tire, or you're whatever, right? And usually it'll be done completely unexpectedly. You won't, boom, all of a sudden they're there like a ninja, right? By basically just kind of forcing their drama or their victimhood or their shallow conversations onto you. They'll force them onto you, and they're usually pretty loud. And they're really either demanding, empathy, or they're setting up a story, or being sly, right? Making themselves the center of attention, they're the victim, that victim narrative light, or pretending they're your buddy or whatever it may be, right? Usually that's to get favors, by the way. So this allows them to kind of test your boundaries, right? Are you going to respond back? Are you going to give them the energy they want? And really, it's also a form of boundary testing, right? So sometimes you're going to see them be really super friendly, or they're going to be snotty and not say anything. Usually it's one or the other. And when you pass one of them, right? So really that's also a manipulation tactic, right? Like you get from any narc in your home or wherever, right? And that's also splitting. So what they're doing here is that's designed to kind of keep everybody around them off balance. Because, it's going to prevent other neighbors from kind of setting firm boundaries, right? Because a neighbor maybe that just moved in, they'd never know. Like, Is this who they are? Are they just having a bad day? And maybe like established neighbors already would be like, what version am I getting today? Am I getting the nice one? Am I getting the rude one? Am I getting the shallow one? What am I getting, right? And also it's performative, right? So it's performative kindness, right? To triangulate by being kind of over the top nice to other neighbors. You'll hear them having all these loud, shallow conversations. And it's really also to ensure that if you ever call them out, if you ever happen to call them out, complain about them, you see what they are, you're going to look crazy. You're going to look like you're causing trouble. You're going to look like you're catty, whatever the situation is. So it's a setup for that too. Also, it's to manage their secrets, of which they have plenty. And using, kind of mini pop-outs at you to, and these constant outings to show you they're so great and they're popular and whatever, which they're not. They're just looking around. And you'll see them maybe go 15, 20 minutes, even long-term, couple hours, to communicate with like many other strangers. Many. All over the place, right? And they're going to be using those kind of like those fake numbers to kind of deceive any partners that are stuck home, probably just caring for kids or just stuck there being isolated, or they don't have one. Well, you'll never see them there. But they'll engage in like really compulsive behaviors. That's what they're working on those phones, okay? Doing their thing. Like pornography addictions, illicit drugs, extreme illegal activity, sexual deviance, things like that, okay? And they're doing that so they're not leaving a paper trail or kind of making it obvious to everybody. That's what they're doing, right? They're looking like the nice person. And especially people that are sharing that home space. Another thing here is secrecy and thrill seeking, right? That's what they're all about. As public perception is the true boss. That's who they serve. Because they can't get more fish in the pond if people know what's going on. And so these constant comings and goings are honestly to maintain sources of supply, maintain those aliases, using those fake numbers, engaging with other disposable people. And people are not disposable, okay? Who you really don't know them. They don't get to know them. They're usually meeting somebody for like intimacy off the bat. That's a big sign of one, okay? They often will thrive on like duper's delight. A lot of them do. And in the end, they will just obtain pleasure from getting away with lying. Even if you know something and they know, they love it. They love it. All right, so we've discussed narcissistic neighbors and stuff, and all the good stuff. So thank you everybody for that ongoing support that you've given to me. We're still growing away here. We're getting bigger and bigger, and I'm so grateful. So please leave me your advice and tips and everything else. I'm going to slide my link here into the comments, or you can just go into like YouTube or like Insta, Facebook, Threads, Cura, things like that, and type in like Deb's Corner Canada. And I have other videos on a lot of things. I think I have about 45 something videos now. I'm surprised. And if these videos are resonating with you, or maybe you've got something you want me to look into a little more, maybe something you experienced that I haven't talked about that you're curious about, please mention it here. Or maybe your experiences so other people can see what's happening, right? And I greatly appreciate you, and I thank you so much for your support. It's wonderful. I love hearing your responses, and I love hearing your opinions, and I love when people throw in kind of like, yeah, me too, and this happened, and then it kind of will spiral, right? And I like it. So I love to see that. So, and your experience and your knowledge can help other people, either, get through it or get beyond it. All right, so let's, if you can help me help the collective, I would appreciate it. And remember, the divine eye always watches and appreciates you, as do I. Stand very strong in your truth, your integrity, in your purpose, and your light. And don't forget to just feed your heart and your spirit every day, even if it's something small for you. Just feed that every day, just a little bit, and always do unto others. And God bless everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye.